Hi, so just following on from the previous video in which I talked about how your ToK essay will be marked, we're going to be having a look at another crucial part of the assessment tool, and that is the key characteristics section. Just before we get into that, I wanted to mention that if you look in the description, you can find my in-depth guide to the ToK essay, which you can download for free. And below that, you can find extensive written guides for each specific title. Okay, as we're aiming high here, of course, we're going to focus on those characteristics of essays which fall into the excellent bracket in the ToK rubric. And these are insightful, convincing, accomplished, and lucid. So, kind of nice sounding words, but what does it actually mean to write an essay which exhibits these characteristics? As with the assessment targets, I recommend asking yourself some questions to kind of check to see if your work actually does this. So we'll begin with insightful. Does your essay deal with the question in a nuanced way? In other words, not just in a very black and white manner. This means addressing any assumptions made in the title and considering the merits of different perspectives. Second question, how original and well thought out are your arguments? In other words, are you avoiding choosing the most obvious or simplistic way of approaching the topic? For example, saying something like, knowledge in the arts is subjective, and knowledge in the natural sciences is objective. Because, okay, whilst these two statements are generally true, they're pretty superficial because you can have elements of subjectivity and objectivity in both of these AOKs. Now, I do appreciate that it can be really challenging to come up with something that's a completely unique take, but originality is often very much rewarded by examiners, so I would encourage you to try to do so. Moving on now to convincing. Do you think the reader will find your arguments persuasive? It's really helpful to have someone else read through your arguments and give you brutally honest feedback about how good they are. So obviously you have the interactions with your teacher to get their perspective, but I would also recommend showing your essay to whoever you can, be it a friend or family member, to get additional input. Also, have you justified your ideas and arguments with concrete, real-world examples? Particular emphasis on the words concrete and real here, because they can't just be imaginary scenarios you thought of, but things that have actually happened. Also, have you used the ideas of academics and other experts from within the AOKs you are using to support your points? So, any kind of relevant quotes from notable thinkers and experts could be a good way to kick off your introduction and body paragraphs, but make sure they're not excessively long, just a couple of sentences max. And accomplished. Have you demonstrated your understanding of the title question and provided a clear answer to it? So we kind of covered this point in the previous video, but basically focus on the key terms and give a direct answer to the question in the conclusion. And getting back to the topic of examples, how relevant and unique are they? I'll be making a video specifically about how to choose good examples, but basically, again, originality is key here. Try to avoid using cliched or overly simplistic ones. You can use personal examples, so any anecdotes from your life which are relevant to the topic at hand. And just a general point, I would recommend using a mix of both personal and impersonal examples to give your essay a bit of variety. Okay, and finally we have lucid. So, is your essay written in a way that makes your arguments and ideas easy for your reader to understand? So again, I want to stress the importance of having someone else look at your work, see if they actually get it. When you're so deep into writing a ToK essay, you might feel like you're losing not only your sanity, but also the thread of your argument. So having a fresh set of eyes look at your work can be very helpful indeed. And speaking of the thread of your argument, do you keep your focus on the question and avoid going off on tangents? By going off on tangents, I mean getting too deep into subject-specific stuff. So spending, say, a whole paragraph unpacking a scientific theory, because ultimately ToK is about the nature of knowledge, not any one specific subject. And finally, a pretty useful guiding tip for when you're going through your body paragraphs after, say, your first or second draft. Could you state the main point from each section in a single sentence? Because if you can, this kind of implies that your essay is focused and not going off in too many different directions. Okay, in the next video, I'll get into the whole global impression part of the marking process. And for essay feedback and tutoring, you can check out my website, toklifeline.com. And if you found this video useful, please leave a like and also subscribe for more TOK essay related content. Thank you very much for watching.